Members of the jury, there is very little for me to say here. It is an ordinary transaction, and I was gratified to hear the questions asked by the jurors, every question upon a recognized principle of law applicable to cases of this kind. As you heard me say before, the law does not impose arbitrary rules upon men in their dealings with one another. It takes up the rules of honesty and principles of fair play that are recognized by honest, reasonable men in their dealings with one another, and they become the principles of law. It is proper that you should take into account whether this transaction was in bulk or in separate items, and of course in that connection you may give due consideration to the form in which the bills are. There is an old principle of law. It is stated in Latin in the books. It goes back centuries. Caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. But be fair and reasonable. When a man goes to buy an article, the rule is that he must exercise his own reason or his own judgment. If the quality of the goods can be discovered by reasonable inspection, is open to the eye, or the defects may be detected, it is his duty to see, and the rule is enforced. The rule is relaxed in the case of a lay person in the particular line involved, for example, a watch, or some intricate thing of that kind concerning the value and quality of which the ordinary purchaser is more or less ignorant. In such case, that person must rely more or less upon the representations of the salesmen, and they are held to strict account. On the contrary, the rule is applied in pretty full force when there is one expert dealing with one expert, one experienced man in the trade dealing with another experienced man. It is Greek meeting Greek, and each one is to exercise reasonable vigilance to see that the other does not get the best of him. And if he does, we do not listen to his complaints at all. You see, it would be nonsense for the law to listen to every complaint that comes from one who made a bad bargain or regretted the deal. You could not do anything else but listen to such complaints. In other words, the law is reasonable. On the other hand, the law permits the ordinary custom of the seller to puff his goods. A salesman selling a suit of clothes can assure you it fits like the paper on the wall, and even if it does not, you have no comeback if you are taking his word for it, and the same with the salesman selling you silk, and so on. Those ordinary efforts of the salesman selling his goods are winked at by the courts, which will not listen to a complaint coming from a purchaser of goods based upon such a complaint as that. When there is some confidential relation existing between two persons, there is a duty, even a moral obligation, resting upon one to tell the other everything he knows about the article. Then the representation is considered a very serious thing by the law. It is the person unacquainted and inexperienced with the particular thing, a hidden mechanism or something of that kind that only an expert can examine, who may rely upon the representations of the salesman, and if the representations are proved to be deceitful, may recover. After all, it is reason and common sense that I want you to apply to this case. Now, if the sale was in bulk, so much for the lot, of course. The purchaser cannot go and pick out what he wants and return the rest. He must return all, for if he buys the lot, he must take the whole lot. He cannot pick out one and return the rest. That is common sense, of course. Take the price put upon the ring, $1,500. They paid the asking price. No other price is mentioned but $1,500. And the defendants claim to have paid that to the plaintiff. The suit is this. The plaintiff claimed to have received this draft for $7,036, and payment was stopped on it. Now, the plaintiff is suing on the draft. His theory is, and is recognized by the law, that his position was, I am willing to return all your money if you will return all my goods. That is what he claims, and that has been his position all along. He says, you took part, and now you wouldn't return my ring. You have returned 2 articles. I will sell these 2 articles